I am so excited to share this episode with you, Becoming a Woman Who Leads from Her Healed Self. I sat on the porch last weekend with my daughters, astounded at their tenderness and vulnerability and honesty. We had conversations that I'll remember forever. We laughed, we cried, we went deep. What if the most powerful thing you could offer the next generation is your own healing, your grounded presence, your willingness to lead from vulnerability, to stay when the going gets tough? That's what we're going to dive into today. I actually brought this teaching to some of my coaches who are interested in going deeper and doing a master coach training with me, but I thought it was so powerful that I want you to hear it too. I do believe that our emotional range becomes our leadership ceiling. And whether we admit it or not, we are leading. We're leading our daughters. We're leading our families in so many ways. And I want us to become women who can hold more vision, more depth, more joy, more beauty, more discomfort even, more power. It's really not about learning more skills, but about becoming the kind of woman who can carry the life, the calling, and the leadership you've been given. So I hope you enjoy this training. I'm so glad you're listening to the podcast today.
Well, hi. Good to see you today, dear ones. I am so happy to be here. We are talking about what it takes to become a master coach. I know we've had some of you joining who are interested in our first round of coach training. So no matter why you're here, maybe you're just not even sure why you're here, but you're welcome to be here. And I'm so happy to be here. We are going to have an amazing class today. I have some fun stories to tell you. We are going to talk about what I think is one of the main qualities that it takes to be a great coach, to be a master coach. And I have seen this firsthand, you guys, as I have been delivering the first round of master coach training, because I have had to step up and step into it so much more myself. But today we're going to talk about the inner work of mastery, becoming a woman who leads from her healed self. Just go ahead and say yes in the chat if that sounds like something that sounds fun to you. Hi, good morning, everybody. Thank you. So good to see you. I know, doesn't that sound great? I'm going to start with a story because stories are really powerful. By the way, when you are sharing what you've learned with other people, maybe you're trying to get your first clients, maybe you're in master coach training and you're working on your project. But I want you to remember the power of storytelling, because no matter what we have to convey, when we see it in a story, it puts flesh on the bones. And so I don't know. I just have always loved storytelling. My mind for sure thinks in stories. And so I'm going to start with a story today. But the thing of it is, we who are doing this work, especially this inner work of mastery, it can feel really challenging. This, for me, has been one of the hardest things that I have tried to learn how to do, that I am trying to master. And I will tell you something. Both of my two of my daughters have been through our coach training. So my daughter, Katie, who is a nurse practitioner, and she's a psychiatry nurse practitioner. So she works full-time for a psychiatrist and helps people with their mental and emotional health, but kind of in a different way than we do here. And she wanted to go through coach training to see like what she could learn that would help her patients so that she could just give them more tools and she could learn more herself. So she went through coach training. My daughter, Emmy, went through coach training. And I'm going to tell you something. These girls already were really emotionally intelligent and so smart and just so willing to be vulnerable. But after they've both been through coach training, the conversations that we have are, I said this in an email this week, and I really mean that. It's like legacy conversations. It's like conversations that will change the trajectory of all of our lives, conversations that you'll remember forever. So they were home this weekend for Easter, and we we live in the South, and it's really nice out right now. So we kept saying to ourselves, we would come in, make a little food, and then we'd all be like, should we go sit on the porch? Should we go do a porch sit? We call it a porch sit. We did so many porch sits this weekend, and like we would go out there. One of the times that we went out there, I was telling them, and my mom at this point, this was the next day. My mom was here, my sister was here, and I was telling them about Tom dragging me out on the jet ski. This weekend, he had a friend over and he was driving one jet ski and I was driving his friend on the other jet ski. And we were going down the lake to Tanner's house. So those of you who know my friend Tanner, he lives about usually a 15 or 20-minute jet ski ride down the lake. But it was so choppy and so just the waves were insane. You guys, I just kept, you know how maybe you don't know, but when you drive a jet ski, if you drive it faster, you kind of plane more on top of the water. If you drive it a little slower, like I drive it, you just keep going in the waves and out of the waves. And I was getting drenched and I was getting frustrated. And Tom said he would try to speed ahead. And he said, I would look back and you're just doing like this. And he said, I knew you was taking on water. So he would drive back to us and he'd be like, what are you doing? I'm like, Tom, I can't go any faster than 30. I can't see. Like the waves are coming at me. The water is like coming right into my eyes, my eyeballs. I have to stop the jet ski, clear my eyes so I can see. And then every time I would stop, the waves would just overtake us. You guys, by the time I got to Tanner's house, Tanner was like, why are you so wet? And I'm like, yeah, I know. So the girls were dying laughing, imagining me, because when I ride the jet ski, everyone, I might have on a dress. I probably don't have on appropriate gear to be driving a jet ski. This particular day, I had on long shorts and a cute little sweatshirt. It was not good for being drenched. So my girls were laughing so hard they were crying at me trying to drive a jet ski with another 12-year-old on my back, behind me, trying to keep up with these boys. And Emmy said, did you ever imagine that this is what your life would be like? Like all of your kids are gone. Now you have Tommy boy, and this is how you spend a Saturday. And I got so sunburned. You probably can't tell anymore, but I got so sunburned. The clouds were really high. I got so sunburned. I got so wet. We were out for like 4 or 5 hours riding jet skis with these boys. It was crazy town. So one of our porch sits would be all about this. The next porch sit, we would just take a deep dive, you guys, like a deep dive. So we were sitting on the porch and we all just started talking about our house fire. And we don't really talk about it that often. And to be honest, we probably should have been talking about it more, because as the girls started talking and we were all like, oh, this is getting deep fast. And Katie, my oldest daughter, basically rescued her 2 younger sisters from the fire. She was upstairs with them. She smelled the fire and she could hear me kind of screaming. And so she went into the hallway, and as soon as she opened the door, smoke just came at her. So she ran into the girls' room and shut the door, and she said it was crazy because there was no smoke in their room yet. And she woke them up. They went over to the window because she wasn't sure if she'd be able to get down the stairs. So they went over to the window and she could see flames coming up, and she's like, I don't think we can make it that way. So she has the girls, and she's only 18 at the time. The girls are little, like 7 and 9 or something like that. She has the girls, she has her wits enough about her to have the girls pick up pillows, put pillows over their faces, come down the stairs. But she walked us through the whole thing. And I don't think she's ever told the story like that, like what she was thinking, like her experience of the whole thing. And then she got to where, they had gotten downstairs, and she said, but I don't know if I've ever told you this, Mom, but she said, one of the most profound, beautiful things that came out of that whole ordeal, she said, when I got down, to the end of the stairs with the girls, she said, Stevie hugged me so tight and said, thank you so much for being so brave. He was talking to her, like thanking her. And before that, he and Katie, because he's Katie's stepdad, so he and Katie had a really strained relationship. I think they just had gotten off on the wrong foot, and they both didn't think the other one liked the other, and they just kind of agreed to not really interact that much. And she said when he She said, when he hugged me and I came down the stairs, she goes, I just felt all of his love. She goes, it was like the first time that I was like, oh my gosh, like this man really loves me. And Emmy and I were sobbing. Katie was sobbing. And, we had probably grand total, in the 2 days that Katie was here, it was like, I can't even tell you how many amazing, like healing, legacy, heartfelt conversations. So many. And my girls just are not afraid to go there. They will just go right to the deep end. So it's like we could be dying laughing at something and laughing so hard we're crying. And then in the next minute, we're actually crying and just like right to the deep end. And it just made me so proud of them. It made me so thankful for how they have such a wide emotional range and they're not afraid to be vulnerable. They're not afraid to be courageous. They're not afraid to say things that might even be perceived as hurtful to me. And I so appreciate that. I want them to be able to say things that are hard. I want us to be able to get it all out in the open. And as I have been leading this first group in master coach training, I just realized that there are parts of me that I still need to work on, that I still need to do that with. I don't think I would have brought up the fire and wanted to take a deep dive into the fire, but apparently they both needed to. Apparently, so did I. So that, and I have found this to be true, you guys. As the person who's been leading master coach training, I have found this to be true every step of the way, that whatever I am working on myself, like whatever teaching I'm working on or whatever I'm studying myself as far as advanced coaching topics or this curriculum that I've been teaching on the laws of feminine leadership, I have literally been living it out. And so I thought to myself, of course, that's the kind of weekend that we had when, this is where I am in my own work and in my own creation and in my own working on leaving a legacy. And I said this last week, and this is really powerful. One of the reasons that I decided that I wanted to keep going with this program, even though it's been hard for me as the creator of it to hold space for it, to ask my women to rise up powerfully and lead themselves and take responsibility for themselves. One of the reasons that I was like, no, we have to keep doing this is because I want coaches who have been through this type of transformation themselves that are out in the world coaching for my daughters and for my granddaughters. And I'm going to keep saying this, but this is so true. I don't want you to come do coach training or master coach training with us because you want to spend more time with me or meet a more powerful version of me. I want you to come do coach training with us or master coach training with us because you're ready to meet the most powerful version of you. And this is a point where you can have followed somebody for a long time. Some of you have been in my community literally since my turquoise kitchen. And you've been around for a long time, and it's so easy to get comfortable with the people that you learn from, with your mentors, and think to yourself, because I've had people say this kind of thing, like they'll say things like, well, I hope this is I'm really looking forward to your next teaching. I hope this one's really powerful. And sometimes it has that flavor of like, almost like keep impressing me. Do you know what I mean? And I don't mean that in a negative way. I remember this feeling that I had with my most powerful coaches where I'd be like, I can't wait to see what she teaches next. Like her teachings are always so good. And what I realized in this master coach program is like, this is the point. This is the passing of the mantle. This is the point where you, as amazing, wisdom-filled women yourselves, filled with God's Spirit yourselves, this is the point where you start to go, oh, it's time for me to start creating. It's time for me to start leading myself. I'm not looking around going, what is someone else going to teach me? I'm going, how can I embody this myself? How can I take this to the next level myself? How can I start creating the legacy content I want to create myself? And so I will keep saying it over and over. This is not about you experiencing the next or most powerful version of me. This is about you experiencing the next most powerful version of you. And what you have to be willing to do that is to expand yourself, to really expand your emotional capacity so that you can become a woman who leads from her healed self. Now, here's the truth. You're always leading, whether you acknowledge it or not, whether it's in your home, your business, your coaching, your community. You guys, you're leading right now in our LMS community. The question is not if you're leading, but how are you leading? Are you leading from your healed self, from the part of you that's whole and grounded and available and present? Or are you continuing to live from and lead from your survival self, the part of you that overfunctions, that people pleases, that grasps for control, that keeps looking for the next thing your mentor's going to do, instead of asking yourself, now what am I going to do? And the real invitation, I think, of this work is to stop leading from those places, from our wounds, from our unhealed self, and to start leading from true wholeness, to stop reacting to life and to start responding with wisdom. So there have been times in this Master Coach program where I can feel, and I love my students, you guys, I love them so much. When I see, we have a call at 1:00 today, and when I see all their little faces on the screen, I have so much love for them, and I'm so proud of them. But there have been times where where we've all struggled, where I can see that they're like, no, help us more, lead us more, teach us more. And I keep calling them up to something higher. No, you have to take responsibility for you, for yourself, for what you're getting out of this. And one of my coaches taught me this years ago, and this is so powerful. You are responsible for what you get out of a training. So you can come to a training and listen. Aline told me this. This is a sign of a teachable, amazing, great coach. Aline told me the other day, we had a call. I love her so much. She's doing the advanced coach part of the training part of our program. And I've told her many times, this is your best work. Like what you have delivered in this Master Coach program is insane. It's Holy Spirit inspired. It's so good. And we were having a talk about it. And she said, you know, the crazy thing is, she says, I know, like, I love what we're doing in Master Coach training, but she said, I'm probably 5 times now going through the material in coach training, our original training. And she said, Edie, every time I go through it, it changes me. I find something different. She said, I'm not the same person going through it. And I'm like, I know. And this is what my coaches always used to tell me, is that you should be able to read the same book. I've done this so many times with books that I love. You read the same book and you don't experience it the same way because you're different. You're growing. You're a different person than when you went through it the first time. You don't hear it the same way. You don't implement it the same way. And so learning to take responsibility even for what you get out of a training, even for, you know, how you're experiencing a training. So I have watched women who are in this Master Coach training who are taking 100% responsibility, and they're in awe of what is happening in themselves, not in awe of us as leaders, but in awe of what is happening in themselves as they really embody the material. So you can hear the same thing. We could probably, to be honest with you, we could probably just run coach training again and call it Master Coach Training, because that's probably all it would require for you to get to the next level of your own transformation. And so I just keep calling them up to more transformation, higher responsibility. How can you take ownership of what you're experiencing in the world, what you're experiencing in this program, what you're creating? We're going to talk next week all about creating legacy content, and they're in the throes of it right now, you guys, creating the content that's going to live on longer than they live on, probably. And what does that look like? And what does it take to do that? So I really believe that as we learn how to lead from our healed selves, expanding our emotional capacity, we become the kind of women who lead with compassion and courage and vulnerability, not from performance, control, blame, like somebody else didn't do the thing they were supposed to do, fear, pressure. Like, you're not going to create your best work from pressure. You're going to create your best work from desire. So what we're teaching literally in all of our programs isn't really about adding another strategy or another skill. It's about becoming the kind of woman who leads from her healed, true self. The kind of woman who can hold more emotion, more responsibility, more truth, more joy, more power, sometimes more disappointment, more grief, without crumbling under it all. And just deciding that you are a woman who can hold this life that you've been given with all of its parts and pieces. And as I have been creating Master Coach training, I've been having, like many of my students, my own personal issues, things happening in my own family that feel so challenging, that are really challenging the story that I've been telling myself about what I can handle and, you know, what my life should look like right now. And what I have had to do is just embody it more and more instead of continuing to sort of consume and learn. We've got to get to the point where we embody it and practice it. And that is how you expand your inner capacity. That's how you do the inner work for mastery, for yourself and for the clients that you are helping. So it's more about becoming the kind of woman who leads from her healed place. You can't lead someone where you haven't gone. Where you are not willing to go, you can't lead them either. You can't hold space for their truth. Listen to this. If you're still abandoning your own. And real embodied mastery is in your ability to expand this inner capacity, to do the inner work, to do the mindset and emotional work that is required to show up as your true, vulnerable, courageous self. So I want to kind of go over why the inner work matters so much now. And, you know, if you've been in LMS for a while, this is stuff that we teach right away. Usually, even in our workshops, we're teaching our clients how powerful their thoughts are and how powerful their mindset is. But what you learn as you go deeper is that's only the first layer of growth. That's only the first layer of learning what it means to really expand your capacity. And what we find is that after that first layer of you're just blown away by, oh my gosh, I can change my thoughts and my thoughts are guiding everything. The next layer is quite a bit more challenging. The next layer is this layer of, yes, but what happens when I try to do that without honoring my body, without honoring my emotional life, without connecting to myself and really experiencing the fullness of my life? And why this work matters so much is because if you're not doing that work yourself, you won't be able to lead your clients into that deeper work. You'll be a coach who's just like trying to help people change their thoughts. And while that can be helpful sometimes and powerful, it's not our deepest work. And you being willing to go deeper with yourself, you being willing to question, am I leading from my healed self? Or am I still hiding? Am I still just trying to superficially kind of change my thoughts, but not do the real deep inner work to do the healing from what I've experienced in the past, to take ownership of the life I'm creating for myself right now, to learn the skills of being with my emotions and expanding my capacity for a big, joyful, beautiful life where I am in touch with all of those griefs, where I can live with rejection or disappointment or whatever the negative emotion is. The other reason that I think it's really important that we do this work, why it really matters, is because if you don't go to this next level of emotional maturity, if you don't expand your emotional range, It creates a spiritual and a relational stuckness. And I hear this probably more often than I hear anything from my clients. I just feel stuck. And to me, that means either you haven't been in the work long enough to go deep enough, or you're resisting that deeper work. You've got too much shame that won't allow you to go into the deeper work. You're avoiding these hard conversations. You're trying to fix things too quickly. You're trying to just change your thoughts. Maybe you're trying to help your clients change their thoughts too quickly because you're not willing to go deep with yourself. So you get nervous when you feel like they might be going there. And what I have learned is that if you don't do this deep inner work, you just get burned out because you're not coaching and living from a deep well. You're kind of living on the surface of the personal growth work. And I do believe that your emotional capacity equals your coaching sustainability. So if you don't do this work, then you're going to burn out. You're not going to be able to sustain it. And I do remember in my first year of coaching, I thought to myself, this is so hard. Coaching is so hard. And the reason it felt so hard to me is because I hadn't got to that next deeper level yet. Now, almost no matter what my clients bring me, I think to myself, I got you. I got you. It doesn't feel hard. It feels like I got you because I've been there. And I want to train coaches who take it beyond that surface level of learning the tools. The tools are amazing and they're powerful, but learning to use them appropriately and learning to go deeper with yourself so that you can eventually go deeper with your own kids, you guys. Like, one of the most important things for me that has come out of this is for me to be able to hold conversations with my daughters like I did this weekend. Like, that's powerful stuff that connects us, stuff that we'll always remember, stuff that after a weekend like that, I feel so tender towards my daughters. I respect them so much. It makes me so thankful for them. But I know that part of that is because I've been willing to do the work and lead from healing. And it takes coaching out of this sort of transactional sort of work into a truly sacred transformational work. And that requires this emotional range, developing our emotional range where we can handle the lowest lows and we can experience the highest highs and everything in between. And where we take responsibility for how we're showing up no matter what is going on. It's the spaciousness and the courage to really sit with what's real in your life. I remember about a month ago, I was visiting my husband's daughter who just had a baby. And Savannah and I, we've been into each other's lives for 25 years. She feels like my own daughter in so many ways. And I got to spend a whole day with her just by myself. And it was, I'm telling you, talk about beautiful, healing, deep dive, real, raw, vulnerable conversations. So life-giving. And before we left for the week, we spent a whole week with them. We rented a house that was like a mile from their house. And so we spent every day together, eating together. I got to hold my little sweetie grandbaby girl for just hours and hours on end. And before we left there, she hugged me so tight and she couldn't let go. And then I couldn't let go. And we were both crying. And she said, "This has been the best week of my entire life." You guys, this is my stepdaughter. I'm not even her mom. And it felt like the most connected, supportive, raw, vulnerable, mothering relationship in the world. And I couldn't be more grateful for this work that we do together that allows things like that to happen. I'm so very thankful for it. I also do think that this is how we heal generational patterns. We have to be willing to go to the hurt places in ourselves. We have to realize, I had to realize, why have I been over-functioning my whole entire life? Why have I been such an overachiever? Oh, it comes from the trauma. It comes from never feeling like I was enough. It comes from, if I'm good enough, it'll make everything else okay. That's probably been the work of my life. I still have a tendency to overfunction if I'm not careful. So when we're willing to say the things out loud, I can think of a time when I couldn't have said that, when I didn't have enough self-awareness, when maybe I had too much shame to be able to say it out loud. Yeah, I overfunction. I overwork. I overdo things because that's what I learned how to do to function in my dysfunctional environment and to have compassion for myself, but also to start taking responsibility and saying, I don't want to teach my daughters that they can never rest, that they can never, like we did yesterday, take a whole day off and just sit on the porch and laugh and cry and enjoy each other. So, for so many reasons, for our kids' sake, for our spouse's sake, for our friends' sake, we need to do this work. This is the real legacy, and they will feel the ripple effect of us doing it. I do believe as women, we have this capacity. If you think about the ability for a woman to become pregnant and for her literal body, the core of her body to be able to expand so much, to hold so much. I think this is part of how God created us. And I do think that we are the ones who can lead our families in this area of being able to have meaningful, vulnerable, sometimes hard conversations, of being able to hold this without needing to fix everything so fast. And I do think that the deeper your inner capacity, the higher you can rise, the more successful you can become in all areas, the more meaningful marriage you'll build, the more meaningful relationships with your kids you'll build, the more meaningful coaching practice you can build. So what does it mean to do that? What does it mean to hold more, to expand your capacity? I think this can be kind of nuanced, but I do think it's different than we think, because I think sometimes when I say that, we think to ourselves, I'm already doing so much. We think of adding more. We think of tolerating more. You know what I mean? Like, gosh, well, my relationships are already hard. What am I just going to tolerate more? That's not what I mean by that. It means becoming the kind of woman who can, now listen to this, stay present in emotionally charged moments. Now, we have had in this master coach training a lot of emotionally charged moments, and I have been so proud of the master coach students, you guys. They have stayed in there, stayed with it, stayed engaged, stayed with the program, stayed with themselves when it felt hard, when it felt like, oh, when it maybe to them felt pointed, like, oh, is this pointed toward me? No. But to be able to stay present in these emotionally charged moments, imagine what that translates into your family life when you can do that. You can become such a mediator for so many experiences in your life when you can stay grounded, when other people are projecting their fears, maybe projecting their expectations on you that you don't agree with or that you don't want to do. But to stay grounded, to stay in your own mental and emotional resilient place, to be willing to open yourself up to rest and celebration without guilt, to be able to hold contradiction, to hold paradox, to hold something like, yeah, we're in a tough season and I have the capacity to stay, to hold this season. It's kind of like the both and. And I know that we have this in us. What I know that it has required from me is for me to really tend to my nervous system, to notice when I'm emotionally dysregulated and to take good care of myself. And to tend to myself sometimes first so that I can regulate, so that I don't show up dysregulated to an already dysregulated situation. And I've had to learn how to do that. Sometimes take a little time out and be with what I feel like are the negative emotions. And you guys, I experienced so much trauma in childhood that this is really hard for me when I feel like things are getting tense. I just want to shut down. I just want to cry. I just want to leave. And staying in emotionally charged moments when my nervous system is wanting to freak out and learning how to regulate myself has been such a gift to me and to the people in my life. It's also been so powerful in my coaching practice to be able to witness someone who's emotionally charged without trying to rescue them, showing them that where they are is exactly where they're supposed to be. Aline says this over and over. She's such a wise coach trainer. It's okay to be here. And when you, as a coach, haven't taught yourself that it's okay to be here, you will sort of project that to your clients, like it's not okay to be here. And then your client feels like, well, now what am I going to do? My coach can't even handle me. And that is such a powerful shift. That takes sort of a novice coach to a mastery coach. When you can witness and be present without needing to rescue, your client is so powerful and so self-sufficient. They don't need rescuing. They need us to hold powerful space for them. It's also being able to feel the emotions that you have without thinking, I can't handle it, or I'm just going to collapse. No, these are just emotions, and I'm going to let them run through my body like waves, like the waves that I experienced on the jet ski this weekend, just riding the waves. Are you going to get wet? Yes. Is it uncomfortable? Yes. Are you going to melt? No. So the other thing is really staying open when it would be easier to disconnect. So all of these are ways that you can build this resilience, that you can hold more. It means learning to hold yourself in your own fullness, the fullness of all of your emotions without trying to rescue yourself. And this skill is so lacking in people in general and in coaches, to be honest. And this is where you learn how to do that. You are learning to be a container for presence, a vessel for truth, a space for healing, first within yourself and then for other people. This holding more, holding space, holding more, kind of means being entrusted with more. People will tell you, I'm going to tell you something. When I learned how to do this skill, what I noticed is that people do not hesitate to tell me their hardest things. They trust that I can handle it. Perfect strangers will come up to me in my own town when I'm traveling and tell me the most vulnerable, hardest things. And I think it is because of this ability that we learn to cultivate within ourselves that we can share with others. It's okay to be here. So when you learn to do this, you'll feel a shift. You'll feel so capable. You won't crumble when someone says something on a coaching call. And I remember in the first days of my own self-coaching, I would be like inside, I would be panicking like, oh my gosh, I don't know what to do. I don't know what to say. This is really hard. I've never coached on this before. And after practicing this and going deeper with myself and expanding my own emotional capacity, I don't feel that ever anymore. I feel like I got you. You're safe here. And you have to do your own inner work to be able to give that to someone else. And when you do, you will realize you've built something deep within yourself. You've cultivated a relationship with yourself that's trustworthy, that's rooted, and it becomes a source of safety for you and for everybody else. You're not performing, you're embodying. You're not reacting, you're responding. You're not pushing them to a result, you're just present for what they're bringing. So, how can we step into this more? How can we create this within ourselves first, lead ourselves first in this so that we become women and mentors and mamas and spouses and coaches who lead ourselves so well that it creates this safe place for other people? The other thing that I want to say about this is that when you learn how to do this, you learn how to create overflow within yourself so that you're not leading from an empty cup. You learn how to really receive. You learn that if you think about the anatomy of a woman, she's the receiver, right? And this gift of receiving the fullness of God, all the gifts that he gives, sometimes the hard things that come our way, this open-handed openness to receive, to let that fill us up, to let that ground us, helps us really lead from a place of abundance and from a place of overflow. And I think that this sort of helps us really lead with emotional integrity, that we're really doing the work. We're tending to ourselves. We're giving ourselves what we need. We're finding moments in the day, in our rhythm of life, where we're filling up the cup. We're tending to our journaling. We're planning our day. We're doing our prayer time. We're taking care of ourselves physically. We're not sort of preaching something that we're not practicing. It's like that willingness to really be honest with ourselves, not disconnecting from yourself and bypassing yourself to help other people, but really doing the work yourself, embodying the work yourself so that it's a natural outflow of what you're already doing. The other thing that I think is really important here is that when you start to make this transition, you start to really trust yourself. You don't need the gurus as much. I can remember a time, you guys, when I almost didn't want to create anything new until I checked with all my people, like what's such and such teaching, what's going on in this world or that world, or I need to read another book. Most of the curriculum that I have created in the last year has just come from an overflow of I trust myself and here's what I'm working through myself. And so I'm just going to trust that it's going to be helpful to someone else. I think that this, the kind of woman who leads from this overflow place doesn't wait to feel ready. She sort of stays ready. She's created these routines. We're about to record a podcast on this and I can't wait for it. She's created such beautiful, nourishing routines that she just feels ready. She feels supported. She is present with herself. She knows that she's creating from an overflow of what she has received. And that kind of person becomes so magnetic because it's real. It's alive in her, so it feels alive to everybody else. The woman who lives what she teaches doesn't need to prove anything. Someone living what they actually believe is so unforgettable and so magnetic. And I think this is what helps us really leave a legacy. And not just leave a legacy, but live the legacy. I have, over the last 10 years spoken on so many stages. And I can tell you something, I'm thankful for the opportunities that I get to speak to groups of people. But legacy is not built on a stage. It's built on screen porches. It's built in quiet moments of truth-telling and compassion and presence. Legacy is not someday, it's now. It's how you can have conversations with your spouse and your kids. It's how you hold space for your clients. It's how you walk through hard seasons without abandoning yourself. It's how you coach someone through their hard things, through their resistance, without wavering. And when you're doing this kind of deep inner work, you're not just preparing for your future. Well, this is going to help me be, a powerful coach someday. No, this is going to help me live powerfully today. And every moment of self-leadership that you practice becomes a ripple in your kids, in your community, in your calling. So the question really becomes like, what kind of mark do we want to leave? What kind of presence do we want to embody? Are we willing to go to the hard places in order to do that? This work makes you the kind of woman who leads a room of people without ever having to say a word, without ever having to dominate. You're just the kind of woman that other people feel safe with and seen by and drawn to. Not because you're perfect, but because you're present, and not because you have all the answers, but because you're becoming whole yourself. So I want to close with this. What does it really look like to lead, love, and live from your healed self? Well, I'm going to tell you, you stop outsourcing your power. When you've learned to sit with your own emotions and be with yourself, something powerful shifts. You don't live from urgency. You don't coach from urgency. You don't live from fear. You don't parent from fear. Instead, You can be truly fully present. You can ask deeper questions. You can show up steady and grounded. You can trust your voice. You can honor your body. You can hold emotional space for people without needing to rescue or fix them. And when you do that, your presence becomes the medicine. In some ways, when you do this, it almost doesn't matter what you say in a coaching session because your presence is so healing. You become such a safe place. Your voice has more authority, not because you shout it louder, but because it's truer. It's more vulnerable. It's more honest. And this is what mastery looks like. A woman fully healed, on the road to healing, fully rooted in herself, committed to doing this deeper work, committed to living more full, more deep, from this range of emotions. So let me ask you this. Where have you been leading from survival? And are you ready now to lead your own self into true healing? It begins within you. Now, if this has stirred something in you, this is the work that we are attempting to do in Master Coach Training, you guys. We are creating this space where all of us have to up level, where all of us are showing up as our highest, best selves, but we're also being vulnerable and admitting when it's been hard. We're also showing up saying, yeah, I'm still really struggling with this. It's that honesty, vulnerability, and courage that it takes to say something out loud so that it can be healed. Especially this advanced training is not really so much about learning new tools, but embodying the ones you already know. I really do believe it's a sacred container for your becoming. It's where we're doing the real work. And it hasn't been easy, but it has been an incredible journey. It's like a container, a mentorship, a sisterhood where you can expand your capacity, learn how to hold space for others without abandoning yourself, becoming the woman who embodies the work and doesn't just talk about the work, and becoming the kind of coach who doesn't just talk about healing, but lives it. So if all of that feels inspiring to you, keep coming to these classes. We have another one next week at noon Eastern. And then the next week we have 2 on Thursday and Friday. So stay tuned. Come back to the trainings. We are going to open the next round of Master Coach training on May 9th or 10th, I believe. I need to look back at my notes for sure. We got some questions last week that we're still working on. So if you sent us questions last week, you probably stumped us, and we are trying to figure out. Again, this will be the first time that we're running it quite in the way that we're going to run it next time. So we're still kind of ironing out the details. So just stay tuned. Make sure you attend the next couple of sessions. And I'm so glad you're here, you guys. I'm so honored that you feel called to this work. This is my favorite thing to do. I love leading women in this way. And can't wait to see you on the next training. If you are one of my Master Coach students, I will see you in 10 minutes for some coaching today. Okay, you guys, love you so much. We'll put this replay in your Becoming a Master Coach Kajabi course. Okay, see you soon. Bye for now.